Well, most of it I've done it to a certain degree, maybe not to, at least the car explosion. I hadn't done one that big enough, but, usually they're like, oh, let's have an explosion, but please don't damage the entire car. It's like, what?
Hey everyone, this is David Stark from Watcher Pass. Today I'm talking to Alfonso Pineda Ulloa, the director of There Are No Saints, which is coming to theaters, digital, and on demand on May 27th, 2022. We're going to talk to him right now. And while you're watching, if you can like and subscribe to this channel, that would be fantastic. Helps me out a lot. Thank you. So thanks so much for joining me. This is Alfonso Pineda Ulloa, the director of There Are No Saints, which is coming to theaters, digital, and on demand on May 27th, 2022. It is a gritty kind of revenge movie about an anti-hero who has to do some very bad things to some very bad people in order to try to do a greater good. And it's got some insane action. It's got some really amazing effects, especially for an indie film. I was very impressed about that. And thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, David. I'm very happy to be here.
Of course, of course. So I guess the first question is, how did you get involved in this film? Were you looking for a film like this, or was this just something that came across your desk and you're like, this is perfect, I want to make this?
Oh, well, most of my work has to do in the early stages with thrillers and suspense movies and action films. So when I heard that they were looking for directors, to do a movie such as There Are No Saints, and I read the script, it felt like the right thing for me to do. And luckily, the producers, everyone decided that was a good choice. So it was a great combination.
For sure. And, one thing that kind of struck me when I was watching it is like the hero in this movie is a pretty bad guy. Like he's almost like an anti-hero because he did some bad things and then now he is forced to do additional bad things. Was that something that you found interesting, or you really wanted to kind of tell the story? Because it does feel like a delicate thing to kind of balance out, trying to treat him as a hero, but then also recognizing like the bad things that he has done and the bad things that he's continuing to do.
Correct. I mean, I believe it's the time of the anti-heroes back. I mean, I believe that at some point we, with the universe, the Tolkien universe, we decided to go on another moral quest as an audience. Mm-hmm. And today we're going back to the movies. I would say maybe the 70s, when anti-heroes, humans with very, very, who make bad choices, who sabotage themselves constantly, who moral values have crossed in order to get what they want. I believe those kind of contents are coming back, and at least for me, it makes for very interesting characters. And at the same time, I mean, I don't know if the word's used correctly, but very, you come to be very, have a lot of empathy with them, because as humans, we are both good and bad, and not necessarily our bad choices or our bad, emotions make us bad humans. It's just human nature, so I believe it's good that we stop adding all this makeup to characters, to make them perfectly good looking and with good choices, and have more human-like characters who can who could have bad habits, or made horrible things in their lives, and maybe they have to do them again to get what they want.
For sure. And I think that's the right word, empathy, because you do have some empathy with the main character. I believe it's Neto. Just like
Neto,
the things that he has to go through, and that you can't really tell if he's trying to like turn around his life because the circumstances just force him to not be able to, right? Like he almost has no choice in this movie. So I definitely think that there is some empathy involved in this film.
Correct.
And speaking of the characters, I love the cast. I love like the kind of just broad swath of characters and actors that you got in this film. How did you assemble them? Like, Neil McDonough, Paz Vega, you had some really great actors coming in to play some very interesting roles. How did you get them all involved in this film?
Well, I mean, let's be honest, to start off, it was a Paul Schrader script. So that by itself, it has a lot of cachet, and the other thing is, I mean, we started with Maria Yazpik, and he's like an amazing actor. And, having him, it was really easy to get Paz Vega. Having Paz Vega, we were able to get Team Roth. And, it's almost like the script did lots, helped us, it was a great material, was really well written, had the right names. And then the actors, as I start working with Maria Yazpik, he contacted Paz Vega, we talked together, they liked my vision. And that was like a little chain. How we ended up getting all the other actors. It had the it factor when we were casting it.
For sure. And it does kind of snowball, right? Like once you get a few people, then people are like, oh yeah, like that sounds like an interesting project. I'll jump in. And then you kind of like you said, get the cachet to get everyone else assembled for this film.
Correct. It sounded exciting, and it was exciting. We shot it in and it was not a long time. We didn't shoot it for like a lot of weeks. It was like 6 weeks that we shot. So in a way, for big actors, it was not too much, and it was good enough time to come to Mexico and shoot it.
For sure. I'd love to spend 6 weeks in Mexico making a film like this. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Exactly.
And you mentioned that you have an action background, which was definitely apparent in this film because the action scenes were really, really good. Like I was very impressed. Oftentimes in an indie film, you'll have action scenes where some of the weapon effects are CG or some stuff just doesn't look right. But this was fantastic. How did you assemble this the armory, and how did you kind of get these effects off the ground? Because it was really, really exciting and fun to watch.
Well, I love directing action. I choreographed all the action myself.
Oh wow.
Call it that, when I was a kid, my parents made me go through kung fu and karate and taekwondo and all these martial arts. But it's I storyboarded. I knew, to me, I directed the action with one thing in mind. It's Neto has to find his son, so most of the action is like he comes in as and does it as fast as he can. You don't like prolong it. It's like he just wants to get to the next part, or get the information and go find his son. So the action is very like compressed, like boom boom boom, goes in, pa pa pa, and then gets out. And I wanted that to be very apparent and make it like a character trait, that he's not going to prolong it, that he's not going to spend more time, and he's not going to show off how great an action hero he is. He does it because he has no other resort or no other option.
Yeah, for sure. It is very efficient, right? Like he kind of gets in, does what he needs to do, and then kind of moves on. Maybe someone's alive and he can question them, but for the most part, he gets in and kind of moves on to try to find his son. So that's definitely true.
Exactly. It's like someone's alive. Maybe if he comes back, I'll fight him again. But I gotta keep moving. I gotta keep going.
For sure. And then one thing I really love is there are some pretty amazing practical effects. I mean, there's a explosion in a car. There's some scenes where windows get broken and whatnot. Like, was that just stuff that you drawn on from your past in the action industry, or were some of this stuff new effects that you've never or new stunts that you've never accomplished before?
Well, most of it I've done it to a certain degree. Maybe not to at least the car explosion. I hadn't done one that big enough. But. Usually they're like, oh, let's have an explosion, but please don't damage the entire car. It's like, what? So on this one, we were very, very specific at what we needed, and get the right elements, and it was all weaved into the scene. So, we did it, as the scene was progressing, it's like the window, the car, everything was done, in order, in a certain order to make it look good.
For sure. I guess you had like one car that you needed to get rid of, so you had to make sure to maximize it, right?
Exactly.
And there was one of the scenes that I really liked, one of the more exciting scenes. There is this like car chase scene that has like a compact, fighting moment in it. Like, how was that to film? Like, that must have been difficult to get all the right angles and to do it, at speed, or at least make it look like it's at speed. How, what was that like?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I mean, like I said, I was very clear on what we wanted and what we needed, and the stunt team was amazing, and they had rehearsals for a while. We had two bands, so that if something happened to the first one, we still had the other one. And the state of Veracruz, where we shot this, they were really friendly. They allowed us to like close down the entire street, even though we didn't have all the money that usually big action movies have. Like, they just close for days. We only had like 1 day to do that. And an interesting story is, unfortunately, Mexico has been, and it's still overtaken by drugs and drug crime, and so this chase, to a lot of people who were driving on the other side of the on the other side, thought it was a real thing.
Oh no.
Even though we had PAs and everyone at the stop sign, with signs explaining what you're about to see, it's part of a movie, blah 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 blah. Yeah. We ended up having an old lady actually having her heart had risen to I don't know how much, and we had to call the ambulance because she thought it was a real thing and they were shooting, and she got so scared that she ended up like paralyzed almost. I mean, she froze and had this heart thing. She's fine, she's perfectly well, but the whole idea was to make it look real, and it looked so real that people thought, oh my God, this is really happening.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and unfortunately, they're no strange to these kind of things happening. Unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. But it is a testament to the action sequences that people thought, it looked so real that they were actually having reactions to it. And
Completely.
maybe something on the lighter side, because the action is very intense. Like you said, it's very, very well done. I also loved the guitar music, just this kind of like light, beautiful guitar that plays over so many of the scenes. It really felt like a callback to like an older style movie. Who did that? And was that always part of your vision?
Yes. From the very beginning, I saw Neto. Like when I was talking to Chem, I saw we want to make a John Wayne. We want to make a John Wayne with everything that involves. You don't talk too much. You express everything with your eyes. The music should feel like a Western, like a modern Western. And we had a great composer who, he actually does Despicable Me Too and all these other films. But he was, we were hungry for each other, saying that he really wanted to try doing something completely different and do the Western feel. And he had the right tools, the right ability, the right talent.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely had a Western callback. It was just like a nice kind of layer in a lot of the scenes. I really loved hearing it. It was a nice consistent point throughout the film. So it was definitely a great choice.
Right. Why I wanted to, I didn't want the music to oversell Neto's emotions. I want him to go with him, to talk about his character, not what he was feeling, but to give us an atmosphere instead of just, being too on the nose and telling us what we should feel at that moment.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely did that. So I know we have limited time, so I'm gonna let you go. But thank you so much for joining me. This is Alfonso Pineda Ulloa, the director of There Are No Saints, which is coming to theaters, digital, and on demand on May 27, 2022. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. Nice talking to you.
That was Alfonso Pineda Ulloa, the director of There Are No Saints, which is coming to theaters, digital, and on demand on May 27, 2022. It is a gritty revenge movie that has really great action and a very interesting cast. If you like this interview, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. Please check out my other content. I've got other interviews, reviews, unboxing videos, and recommendations. Thank you.